Virginia. They spent 11 months at sea, the longest deployment of a U.S. warship since the Vietnam War. President Trump is also back in the nation's capital this weekend after wrapping up his summit in Beijing. But uncertainty looms. The Iran war drags on with inflation rising. Gas prices tonight nationwide averaging $4.52 a gallon. That's up 52% from the war start. They're the highest in California, the lowest in Texas. CBS's Olivia Rinaldi is at the White House and leads us off tonight. Olivia, good evening.
Good evening, Jerika. The Pentagon awarded the USS Ford Carrier Group the prestigious Presidential Unit Citation for Heroism as the warships finally returned home after 2 defining military missions. After 326 days at sea, the largest aircraft carrier in the world and its strike force returned to Norfolk, Virginia, bringing thousands of sailors home, some meeting their children for the first time.
What the Ford Carrier Strike Group did, and these destroyers did, is exceptional, phenomenal.
The deployment spanned the globe, from Europe to the Caribbean and then the Middle East.
We did discuss Iran. We feel very similar to Iran. We want that to end.
Also home this weekend, President Trump, after his high-stakes summit in China with Xi Jinping. Despite their talks, no major break. Now entering its 12th week. But President Trump said China agreed that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. The president, however, said he did not ask for help in ending the war.
I'm not asking for any favors, because when you ask for favors, you have to do favors in return. We don't need favors.
But it was on Taiwan, a democratic island about 100 miles off of mainland China, that Xi warned could be an issue between the two superpowers.
On Taiwan, he does not want to see a fight for independence, because that would be a very strong confrontation. I think the last thing we need right now is a war. That's 9,500 miles away.
President Trump said selling $14 billion worth of U.S. weapons to Taiwan is still under review.
I'll make a determination over the next fairly short period.
It would also break precedent for an American president to speak with the leader of Taiwan about a potential arms deal. Meanwhile, Americans at home are still wondering what they got out of the high-profile summit. Jerika?
Olivia Rinaldi at the White House, thank you so much. Trade was a critical topic at the Beijing summit. President Trump says he struck, quote, fantastic deals. But U.S. stock markets fell Friday. The Dow closed down more than 500 points with few details about what the two superpowers accomplished. CBS's Lana Zak is in Iowa City, Iowa, with reaction from the heartland. Lana, good to see you.
Hi there, Jerika. President Trump is claiming a win for American farmers, but China has yet to confirm any of those details. And for people out here, the difference between a promise and a purchase really matters. In Rick Chipman's fields in Harlan, Iowa, young soy plants are starting to emerge.
We're off to a good start.
He farms 1,800 acres of corn and soy in Shelby County, alongside a hog operation that offset last year's losses following a trade war that was devastating for farmers of row crops. The price of soybeans is still significantly depressed, down nearly a third from 2022. And that's why American farmers had big hopes for President Trump's trip to China.
We really haven't heard yet if good things have happened or not.
Markets tumbled due to a lack of specifics following the president's promises.
We made great deals. We made great trade deals.
But China hasn't made any commitments. Not the timing, not the volume, not even what they're buying. And that matters because China purchases more soybeans than any other nation. The war with Iran has added additional strain for farmers. About a 50% increase in the price of diesel, and the cost of nearly everything else, from seed to fertilizer, is rising too.
There's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. It just seems like an auctioneer, when you're filling the planter up.
More farmers are being pushed into bankruptcy as some look for income elsewhere.
There's a lot of farmers thinking maybe it's time to go get an off-farm job just to keep, food on the table.
Now, for his part, Chipman says he is better positioned than others, but he cautions we should all be paying attention to farm bankruptcies because he says it sheds a light on the health of the American economy as a whole. Jerika?
Lana Zak for us, thank you. 2 Alabama cities tonight at the epicenter of the 1960s civil rights movement are back in the national spotlight. Thousands of people rallied in Montgomery and Selma for voting rights amid about. Organizers say those moves and recent legal decisions have crushed decades of progress. Tonight, workers for the busiest commuter rail service in North America are on strike. 3,500 Long Island Railroad employees walked off the job right here in New York. CBS's Allie Bauman is at Citi Field, a major stop in the railroad. Fans and commuters obviously scrambling to figure out how to get from point A to point B. Allie.
Eureka, the Long Island Railroad, busiest commuter rail system in North America. Its closure, hundreds of thousands now scrambling to find alternatives. And this system, like mass transit around the country, is already under constant strain. Fans are heading to Citi Field in New York for tonight's game, but transit trouble is throwing them for a curveball.
Probably added about almost 50 minutes to our ride.
Long Island Railroad workers went on strike Saturday after failed contract negotiations with the state over wages and health care. It's paralyzing a system that carries about 250,000 riders a day.
A strike is not what we wanted.
The railroad is part of a system already under stress with slow improvement. New York City, with the nation's largest public transit network, updated its subway map last year, the first time in nearly 50 years. Repair work on century-old train tunnels used by Amtrak and the New Jersey Transit won't be finished for another decade. There are small signs of progress. Los Angeles opened a nearly 4-mile subway expansion last week in its busiest neighborhood. It took 65 years to build.
The United States compares unfavorably.
Data shows the U.S. offers a fifth of public transit capacity provided by other comparable countries.
To a world-class standard for transit, we would need to bring our spending up to $336 billion by 2044.
The New York Comptroller estimates this strike will cost the region $61 million a day in lost economic activity. Eureka, the real will be felt on Monday when commuters go to work.
That's right.